Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And today I'm excited to have our very first playoff preview. I want to go through all the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and obviously the playoffs are starting soon, so I wanted to get a jump on it while the season is still going on. We're going to start from the top down, so today we're starting with my Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers currently have the best record in baseball, the best record in the National League, and it should keep up that way, but we will see. So what I'm going to start with a gut reaction. I'm going to go into some stats, and then I'm going to go into like the lineups, and then I'm going to go into my final reactions after I've had time to process that, right? So, if you don't feel like listening to my gut reaction, skip forward a little bit. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Before we get into the video, though, I want to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, keep the channel growing, and all those good things. So with the Milwaukee Brewers right now, it's like, I'm feeling good, but I'm not feeling great. They've had a lot of struggles in September, which is very concerning, especially against good teams like the Padres. There have been a lot of injuries recently to the pitching staff. Jose Quintana is down, Brandon Woodruff is down. Those are two guys that realistically you want pitching in the playoffs. So that is very concerning for sure. Trevor McGill has been hurt, and we'll see when and if he comes back, because the thing about the IL is just like you never know. However, when you're looking at the team as a whole, it's a very well-constructed team. There aren't a lot of weak spots. It's got a deep pitching staff. So, like I said, even though some of the top-end guys are gone, you still have guys a little bit lower down the depth chart that you're like, okay, if Tobias Myers is getting a spot start in the playoffs, you honestly don't hate it. He had a great season last year, and he's been decent this year. If you need Aaron Ashby to pitch 3 innings as an opener, that's fine. We can handle that, If Chad Patrick gets a day 3 start in the playoffs, you're like, okay, Chad Patrick has been pretty solid, However, on the other hand of things, the Brewers offensively are just not the strongest team ever. And I think my biggest thing is they don't have the guy. Yelich is obviously a fantastic player, and he's had a great career, and he's had a really, really solid year, but they don't have a guy that you're scared when they come up. 2018, 2019 Christian Yelich is a completely different story. You don't have a guy that when you're going through the lineup, you say, okay, if we get to him, I feel really confident in our chances. Taking me back to 2011 with Braun and Prince Fielder, both of those guys, you were like, okay, if we get to Braun and if we get to Prince Fielder, we have a really good shot of winning this whole entire thing. The Brewers, you're like, if we get to William Contreras, he's been good this year. If we get to Bryce Terang, he's been hot. If we get to Yelich, he's been solid. But you don't have anyone that you're like, oh, this guy's in the MVP conversation because of his bat alone. And there are guys like that throughout the whole entire league right now. Kyle Schwarber, Shohei Ohtani. Obviously pitching with Shohei, Aaron Judge, and everything like that. It's like they are there because of what their bat does. And the Brewers really don't have anyone like that. They have one player who's in the top 50 for OPS, and that's Christian Yelich among qualified hitters. And his OPS is barely above 800. So you're like, you know what I'm saying? So I want to talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and also the with the Milwaukee Brewers. So to start off, their pitching staff is fantastic. They're currently second in team ERA, they are second in opponent batting average, and they're fifth in strikeouts. So guys aren't getting hits off of them, they're not scoring runs off of them, and they're striking out a lot of batters. Pitching wins a lot of championships. So I will say that is a very strong sign for the Brewers. If the team like this, it can't create a ton of runs, if you don't need to create a ton of runs, if you don't allow a lot of runs to score, a win is a win no matter how you slice it, right? But also when it comes to hits too, the Brewers are third in runs scored, they're fourth in walks, they're fifth in terms of the least strikeouts, they're second in stolen bases, they're third in batting average, they're second in on-base percentage. So when it comes to hitting, it's weird. They don't have pop, but they get on base and they run really well. So then that allows runs to score. It's an odd team, right? So, getting on base is obviously a good thing. You want that end of the day, no questions asked. And it's just slap, hit the ball around kind of offense, which is really what this team has been all about. My concern is, and we'll get to this a little bit later, is the home run ball isn't there at all. So it's and home runs also get you far into the playoffs, which we will talk about a little bit later. But also in terms of base running and fielding, they're third in fielding runs valued. They're sixth in outs above average. They're first in base running runs. This is according to StatCast. So the team gets on base, it runs the ball well, and then also they don't make mistakes, which I think is extremely important. They got a really good defense behind them. And for a Brewers team where it relies on pitching, the pitching and the fielding need to go hand in hand. It's like if you have good pitching, but your fielding is atrocious, then when a ball gets through, a ball gets through. If you have terrible pitching, then you're going to give up a lot of home runs, and then the good fielding isn't going to be really able to do anything. So the Brewers are kind of like a nice amalgamation of the two in a sense, where it's like you get really good pitching and you get really good fielding. And also, like I said, they run so well, which is incredibly important. They're taking extra bases, they're getting stolen bases, which is obviously extremely important for any team. And then also the final thing that I want to point out when it comes to the good is that they swept the Los Angeles Dodgers in the season series 6-0. So that it shows that they can beat good teams. They have a winning percentage that's very good against teams that are over 500, so they can beat up on good teams. Now, I want to talk about things for the Brewers that are kind of more middle of the road. They're 7th in home runs allowed, which isn't great and elite, but it's definitely not bad. The only concern is that in the playoffs, you're going to be facing teams that hit the home run ball better, and they're going to make it farther in the playoffs because of that. So when you mix the kind of okay at allowing home runs to teams that are really good at hitting home runs, I don't think that creates the best thing in the world. So that is a little bit concerning and definitely a thing to keep an eye on. They're 8th in whip, so that's solid. They're not allowing base runners most of the time. Again, it's not elite. That's why it's just kind of okay. They're 12th in slugging, which is where you're kind of starting to get into the area of not great. And then they're 11th in OPS. So it's not elite, but it's not bad. So that's why I kind of put it in the decent tier. They're doing enough to get runs in. Obviously, like I said, they're 3rd in runs scored. But my concern is that, in the playoffs, things tighten up, and those things that get you the wins on the edge kind of go away, like base running, for example. And then also they're 10th in errors, and errors can obviously be magnified big time. But the thing is about errors is errors are kind of a bad stat. It's like if you can make it further across the field, but then you drop the ball, that counts the same, or it counts as an error versus somebody who's not able to make it and not even have a chance to drop the ball. So it's like errors don't really matter, but it's still something to keep an eye out for. Now, the Brewers are not a perfect team by any stretch of the imagination. There are just some things that they do downright poorly. They're 20th in walks per 9 on the pitching side, and that's just unacceptable, especially in the playoffs when teams will take advantage of that. And then the most concerning thing for them, in my opinion, is that they're 20th in home runs. Now, the thing that's extremely concerning about that is among teams to make the World Series since 2019, and we're taking out 2020 because, the shortened season and everything like that, there has been one team to finish 20th or lower in home runs, and that was the Arizona Diamondbacks. So you have 1 out of 10 teams to make the World Series have finished where the Brewers are in hitting home runs. You don't love those odds. And then, arguably, again, one of the most concerning things is the Brewers have slowed down. In the month of September, they are 500. Even 500, and they just lost the series to the Padres, who are a very good team. You're going to be facing the Padres later down the line, so that's extremely concerning when you're looking at that. I just hope that Pat Murphy can, get this team amped up. He's probably going to win Manager of the Year. Get him amped up, get ready to go for the postseason, and hopefully just right this ship in the time that you have the bye. Give that time to chill, relax, take your time off, and get this team right. Next, I wanted to look a little bit at the lineup and the rotation. So the lineup for the Brewers is pretty clear-cut. At catcher, you're going to have William Contreras. At first base is the one place that's really murky. You're either going to have Rhys Hoskins, Andrew Vaughn, or Jake Bauers. All three of those bats have been really solid. Andrew Vaughn has obviously had this renaissance with the Milwaukee Brewers. He's slowed down a lot, but he's still been solid. Jake Bauers has been really hot recently, and Rhys Hoskins was injured, but he's had a solid season so far, so you have 3 solid bats there. At second base, that's shored up. That is Bryce Terang, through and through, one of the best defenders in the league. He's been a great bat this year. He's been really good, just all around good season. I have a video on Bryce Terang. Check that out if you haven't yet. Third base is Caleb Durbin. He's been a rookie phenomenon. He's been very, very solid. He'll probably get some Rookie of the Year votes. I don't think he'll win it, but, you never know. He's a solid defender. He's a good base runner, and he's a solid hitter. Short king as well, so shout out to him. Over at shortstop, you got Joey Ortiz, which you don't love. He's a decent defender. He's been poor with the bat, although he's picked it up. But that's who you got at shortstop. That's definitely the weak spot, in my opinion. In left field, you have Isaac Collins, although Churio has run some left field. Christian Yelich has been getting some run there. And then over at center field, you primarily have Jackson Churio, but Blake Perkins has also ran it when Jackson Churio has ran some of the corner outfield positions. And Jackson Churio has been very solid this year, and Blake Perkins is a quality backup center fielder. He's a good defender, and he can run the bases really well. Over at right field, you have Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick has been awesome. He's hit the ball really well this season. He runs the bases phenomenally well, and also he won the Gold Glove last year. So right field, you're feeling pretty good about. At DH has been Yelich, basically through and through. You have a little bit of William Contreras in there. And then on the bench, your primary guy that you kind of got for everything, I imagine he'll be on the roster. I don't know why he wouldn't be, would be Andrew Montesario. He's been very, very good this year. Production-wise, in terms of his bat, it's been one of his best seasons ever. And in addition to that, he can really play anywhere on the diamond, so you don't feel bad about him anywhere. He's even been getting run at first base, which has been really weird considering that he plays a lot of shortstop and like middle infield positions. And also, I'm pretty sure he's ran some outfield, so it's like, you don't hate that at all. Shout out Andrew Montesario. And he's had some clutch hits this year. Love the guy who responded to my birthday DM, so shout out to him. Over on the pitching side of things is where you get a little wonky because there's been a lot of injuries recently. When you look at the starting rotation, you're going to have Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta has been the ace. The ace's ace, some may say. He's been fantastic this year. He's been a true 1-1. Like, he's probably going to finish at least top 5 in Cy Young voting. I'd imagine top 3. I'd probably have him in that 2 or 3 range. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Like, you'll love where he's been at. Quinn Priester, you're probably going to have in your 2 slot, which you're like, what? Quinn Priester? I don't even know who that is. The Brewers have won 19 games with him pitching in a row. So when Quinn Priester is on the bump, the Brewers are probably going to win. He's been really solid. Like, it's just been odd. This guy kind of came out of nowhere, and he's been really good. So, we'll see what happens there. And then you get a little shaky. You have Jacob Mizorowski, who is like this rookie phenom who's sputtered out. His control isn't exactly where you'd like it to be, but the stuff is there. So my concern is that this control won't be there, the walks will go up, and you just don't love that in the playoffs. And also, he doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. Well, he doesn't have any playoff experience. This is his rookie year. So that makes me concerned as well. After that, you got Chad Patrick, potentially, who's another young guy and with no playoff experience, so we'll see what happens there, but he's been good. He's been really good. You have Tobias Myers. Also, he could get a spot start if they really need it. And the reason that Tobias Myers could get a spot start, which honestly you don't hate at all, he was really good last year. He's been okay this year, not as good, but he was very solid last year. But the reason that you may need Chad Patrick and Tobias Harris to get these spot starts is because Jose Quintana and Brandon Woodruff are both on the injured list. Those are 2 guys who you had in your 5-man rotation. Real Brewers fans know that Brandon Woodruff is that guy. I mean, even when you had Corbin Burns having his Cy Young season and you've had Freddie Peralta been doing incredible, real Brewers fans knew that you wanted Brandon Woodruff in the big-time games. He's consistent. He doesn't really blow up a lot. Like Freddie Peralta's had his days where he's just struggled. Corbin Burns definitely had his days where he struggled. Woodruff, you really know that you're going to get at least a quality start out of him, which you love. And also, he has a ton of playoff experience. He's been on the Brewers basically this whole entire run that they've been really good. In 2018, he had the home run off of Clayton Kershaw in Game 1 of the NLCS, which was obviously extremely hype. It's obviously a huge blow to have Woodruff on the IL to start the postseason. And then on top of that, Jose Quintana, he's another veteran guy, and they say he should be back, but we will see. I mean, it's just the way it is. When it comes to injuries, you just never really know. So there's a little bit of concern there. Over on the bullpens have always been kind of the Brewers' strength. When you're looking at it, you have Abner Uribe, who's been incredible this season. Like, I'm not taking any Abner slander over here, right? You have Nick Mears, who's been very good. You've had Aaron Ashby, who's been kind of really good in this, like, weird long inning relief type area. He's been phenomenal, though. And also, you wouldn't hate him for a spot start or an opener here or there. Tobias Myers has also primarily been in the bullpen, but again, a spot start, very likely. I could definitely see it. You have Jared Koenig, who's been decent. You have Grant Anderson, who's also been decent. Both of them have been used a lot, though, I will say that. And then the biggest blow, though, is the only all-star in this bullpen was Trevor McGill, and he is hurt. So you have 3 pitchers who are a big part of your team currently on the injured list. Trevor McGill, they say that he should be back soon. They say that he should be back before the postseason even starts. But I wouldn't hold my breath for anything. It's just tough. You never know with injuries, especially with pitchers. I feel like they can tweak stuff so easily. So obviously I'm hoping he'll be back, but we will see. So now when we're looking at all of that, my gut reactions is I'm concerned. I think that the team is solid. I think it's good. And I know that there's stuff about the bye week and the rust and stuff like that. And I'm looking at the team. I hate to say it as a Brewers fan. I just don't know if this is a team that's going to win the World Series. The Brewers haven't been to the World Series since 1982. I wish it was our year this year. If Woodruff is going to continue to be hurt, though, if Quintana is going to continue to be hurt, and if McGill is going to be continued to be hurt, I don't know if I see a path. Which really blows, quite frankly. I mean, this is a really good team. It's really well constructed, but I don't know if it's playoff constructed. We don't have a guy that's the guy when it's in the lineup, and you also don't have a team that hits a lot of home runs, and you need to hit a lot of home runs in the playoffs. It's just the way it is, and it hurts me as a Brewers fan to say I don't know if this is our year. I think next year, I think we have a really good chance. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. I'm a Brewers fan through and through. I'm not going to pretend to hide my biases like I am. I just don't know if this is the year. I just don't. We'll see what happens. But like I said, if you can't have a guy like Woodruff and Quintana, really solid rotation like that, I mean, you don't love Mizorowski in your 3 spot. You just don't. He has the talent, obviously, but he doesn't have the playoff experience, which is a concern. And honestly, I think this team gets a lot of knocks for not having a ton of playoff experience because they're a young team. But you guys Churio has playoff experience. Frelick has playoff experience. Yelich has a ton of playoff experience. Joey Ortiz has playoff experience. They do have playoff experience, but some of the key pieces don't. Caleb Durbin doesn't. Isaac Collins doesn't. Jacob Mizorowski doesn't. It's just, there are a lot of concerns for this team, and I'm confident in Pat Murphy. I really am, but the September slowdown has me scared, quite frankly. If the Brewers went into September the way that they went into August and they took down August, I'd be yes, absolutely, this team is going all the way. I feel 100% confident, and I don't feel that way at all. The September slowdown has hurt us a lot. Getting beat up by the Padres hurts. They're a team that you're gonna face. It's you need to do better than that. I just don't know. I don't know. So it's as a Brewers fan, I'm thinking, yes, I really think that we have a chance. But as a fan of the game and somebody who's really looking at it from a non-biased perspective, I could see us winning a series or 2, but I just don't know if we have the roster that's going to go all the way this year. So that's what I got to say. I hope you enjoyed my first playoff preview talking about the Milwaukee Brewers. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're going to be trying to crank out these playoff previews as fast as we can. So make sure to stay tuned to that. That's what I got. Thanks for watching Good Sports for You, and I'm out.